to the refuge level. So no, we're not going any higher. From here, we'll go down to the refuge. Okay, so one thing, and this has got nothing to do with volcanoes at all, but a lot of you have mentioned it, is this helicopter pad behind us. The H building. Yeah. So they don't actually use it anymore because it's too close to the Sky Tower. So just for safety, they won't let helicopters and things land there anymore. If you look over this side, the Vero building, one with a toilet seat on the top.
Is there?
No, but it kind of looks like it. Just have a seat again. So the airspace between the Sky Tower and the Vero building, no aircraft are allowed to come in any closer than the Vero. So that's why why they don't use this anymore, because it is within that. But having said that, nothing. They do. It kind of depends on how rich and how famous you are, really, because you can get special permission to land there. In the history of the tower, two people have. One was a president of the United States. Well, he's an ex-president now, Bill Clinton. He had permission to land there, and the other person was a very famous opera singer called Luciano Pavarotti. He also got permission to land there. But otherwise, they don't actually use it, generally. Okay, so have a look right in front of you before the clouds come in and cover it. Behind me, that big mountain, you can see right in front of you, there's a little white house with a red roof amongst the trees.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Okay, so that is Mount Eden. Now, Mount Eden is the biggest volcanic landmark on the mainland. Okay, Auckland's very biggest is obviously the Rangitoto out in the bay, but the very biggest on the mainland is Mount Eden, and it's a metre shorter than where you're sitting right now. 184 metres, you're at 185. So if you've got good eyes, you can see there are some cars and vans and things at the top of Mount Eden. You will always get people going up there, tour buses and things, because it's another good vantage point to have a look around Auckland. It's about 35,000 years old, which is quite young in volcano years, because the oldest volcanoes they've found, which are in Western Australia and Canada actually, are about 4,000 million years old, which is absolutely ancient. Auckland's oldest volcano is on the North Shore, it's called Onipoto, and it's only 250. So although all of Auckland was built on a volcanic field, and it's a huge field, it's only young in comparison to world standards. So keep coming to your left, find for me the next hill, and it's got a pointy thing at the top.
Is that
Someone with their hand up.
We just
One Tree Hill.
we just recently.
Okay. So I say hill. Yes, it's One Tree Hill. There's no tree up there anymore. There's a stump, so it's No Tree Hill. But you have got that pointy thing. And that pointy thing, as you probably know, is an obelisk. It's a commemorative obelisk, so it's used to remember the Māori tribe that used to live up there, have their pa, and one of Auckland's first mayors. Actually, all of these mountains, all of Auckland's bigger volcanoes, all had a Māori pa or settlement on them at one stage or other. Why? Why did they want to build this on top of a volcano?
Because they probably, it's like where they first came, and that's kind of culture.
Yeah, so it kind of stood out when they arrived. They saw it. It was one of the first things they saw. Okay, what else? Maybe. Why else? Why else do you think they built on top of these mountains? Hills.
Just watching that one.
Maybe after they settled, I would say it did. But the top of these volcanoes, there's two main reasons that made them a good place to settle and to build your settlement, your park. Very good. That is one. It's a good vantage point to be able to see any enemies that are trying to encroach on your settlement or your land. That's one. What's another one? They mentioned it on the DVD downstairs. After volcanoes have erupted, everything's cooled down, bush and grass and stuff starts to come back. There's something about the land.
Like Europeans come and they like try to put like their culture and all that into what the settlers, with what the people first lived here, started.
Now, there's a whole lot of issues there, Taz. I know what you mean, but it's something else. The land after a volcano, it's what? Nutritious, it's fertile, very good. So the land on the top of these hills and these volcanoes was good to plant food in. Like, they didn't have supermarkets and things back then, remember, they grew their own. So that was the reason why all of the tops of these volcanoes had some kind of power or settlement on them. Okay, so that's One Tree Hill, very famous Auckland landmark. Keep coming around, you've got Mount Hobson. Mount Wellington is out there all by itself. It's not part of this tight little cluster here. Come back in further closer to us. Can you see this big cluster of trees here? And then up the top is that big white building. Does anyone know it? Very good, it's a museum. So just to the right of the museum, there's a flat area of land, and it's called the Domain. There's sports fields there, they have Christmas in the park, those types of things. Now the Domain is actually a volcanic landmark. Now it doesn't have that cone shape like the others. What happened with the Domain, actually, what's the difference between magma and lava? Does anyone know?
Magma's hotter than lava?
Actually, it may be, I don't. Does anyone know? It may very well be, but there's something else.
Magma is
They're both melted rock.
When the lava comes out, it doesn't turn into rock.
It does. It does once it comes out. Eventually, it does.
Does the magma melt the rocks which turn into lava?
Actually, that's closer to what it is. Guys, you need to listen to this, please. When it's still inside the volcano, the liquid rock is called magma. This is the way they differentiate it. But once it comes out of the volcano, then it's classed as lava. But you might be right, because it's still inside the mountain, it might be hotter, because as soon as it hits the air, it'll start to cool down. So that's the difference. So when the magma bubbled up in the Domain, as it came out the top as lava, it didn't pour over the sides. It just stayed in that crater. Then after a while, it all cooled. It was like a lake of lava, basically. Then it eventually cooled, and that's why it's a lot flatter than these other mountains. So that was the difference there. Now, just down below us here, this park, you'll see the nice blue fountain in the middle. This is Albert Park. Now, nowadays it's just a recreational park. There's Auckland University there, so lots of students go across. But it's actually another volcanic landmark, and it's one of Auckland's oldest. It's about 125,000 years old. The other thing that's interesting about Albert Park is under the ground. Now, back during World War II, there was the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Very sad, but very famous bombing. Now, Auckland thought they might be invaded as well. Now, to get the people in the city, or as many people as they can, to safety and keep them safe while this invasion was going on, they dug a whole lot of escape tunnels and safety shelters and safety bunkers all underneath Albert Park. Now, they were never invaded, so they never actually used them. But they're still all there today, they're still underneath the ground. The cities just deemed them unsafe, so they've actually boarded up all of the entrance, well, boarded up, they've just locked the doors to get into the entrances, but they're still all there. I kind of think it's a bit of a shame. It's quite a unique part of the city's history. No, I mean, all the tunnels and things are still there, but they've locked all the doors, so you can't get in.
I've got a question. Is that kind of like a checkers? Yeah, well, it looks like there's a checkers.
And a surfboard. They call it the chessboard and the surfboard. That is just in front of you, that building, the roof of that building. It is Sky City Metro, so there's like the IMAX theatre, there's a Time Out, Burger King, all of those things. When they originally built that building, it was an American restaurant called Planet Hollywood, and that was part of the design. So after Sky City took it over, they just kept that unique element. So there's a big S on the floor behind you. So what does that S mean, do you think? No.
Skydeck.
No.
Skydeck.
Who knows what a compass is?
South.
South. Very good. So the floor up here is laid out like a compass so people can get their directions. So we're looking south at the moment. Yeah. Okay, I want to go to the west side and then we might go down to the refuge. So just find